Welcome, friends, and namaste. We are going to do something along the lines of a post-runner stretch out, we'll call it. I had a request for that, and so in honor of that, let's go ahead and start lying down on our backs. Have a strap where you're going to be able to easily grab it, and we'll meet there. You can do a little bit of the roll down, right, on the way in. Starting to bring awareness into your abdominals. That was last week's work, right? And then once you get there, let's have a moment with the feet on the ground, actually. Walk the feet wider than the hips. Lean them in towards each other. Oh, pardon me, they do not have to touch. Arms come into Shavasana style, upper body. And just take a couple of moments and pause here. When I start in this position, I like to bring my awareness into my back body, particularly everything from, the skull down to the sacrum. What's connected to the floor, what is not. If there are areas that feel heavier, lighter, more restricted, just whatever is going on in your back body specifically. I am so sorry. Evidently, I'm going to have a bunch of yawns. I seem to always do them in groups. Bring your awareness into your breath for just a few breaths here. Hopefully the belly is so soft that the belly is rising and falling on the breath. And then walk your feet into hip distance. Let's bring our right knee into our chest, and you can grab anywhere. I'm going to grab behind my thighs so I have just a little more room to maneuver. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to simply move my leg a little in towards my chest and away from my chest, and just gently ease into the hip joint, but also, of course, you'll feel the effects of this in the low back as we rock on the back of the sacrum. And then the next time you're in towards the body, stay in, soften the shoulders down. Go ahead and take your right big toe and take your right big toe through some circles and just say hi to the ankles while we're here. And other direction. And then go ahead and take that strap, put the strap around the ball mounds of the right foot. And if you don't have a strap, you could just interlace behind your thigh and work from that way. If you do have a strap, it's an awfully handy tool. A bath towel, tie from a roba belt, anything would do, right? So the first thing I want to do with the left foot still on the ground, I know a lot of people like to extend that all the way out immediately, and that's not wrong or bad, but while we have slack in the pelvis, you can put your right hand on your right thigh just at the hip crease and literally push that right thigh straight forward. And just notice how the low back comes up off the floor. Make sure you're not overarching. Tone in your pelvic floor and your abdominals. And then go ahead and keep that imaginary pressure once you release it, right? We're just imagining it. Keep that idea, that imprint of the thigh being pushed forward, even as you push the heel up to the sky. My friends who know some of these, if they make sense to you, you can push up more through the ball mound of the right foot. And all of that is not like, this is not the only way to work it. My hope is that with that specificity, we have a neutral spine, right? We have a long back of the right leg. It is getting longer, it's lengthening. And hopefully straight through the center of the leg. Go ahead and extend your left leg out to straight without losing anything that you've already built on the right side, and work that left foot into an imaginary wall. Take both straps into the right hand, tee the left arm out. So our abdominal work from last week, even though we're doing a stretching sequence, right? Find your thighs moving into a block, tone the low belly down, but the upper back, the low back, not the upper back, up so that they meet like a corset. Let the right leg move over to the right, just to wherever it gets to, without your left thigh lifting, without your low back bowing, without all the things that might come out of alignment, I'm going to call it, right? Again, is this the only way to do it? Not at all. Imagine that your hand was on the front of that right thigh again, and you were pushing your right thigh down towards the foot side of the mat. Bring that back up to center, both straps in left hand, right arm out. So we're going into the IT band. So as a matter of fact, actually, let's take our right thumb in that L shape and put the in the hip crease, holding the hip down and pushing forward. Move over to the left a little bit. Rather than going far to the left, I find it more effective getting into that outer right hip, thigh, back of knee to pull the foot further towards the head side of the mat rather than going far over to the left. But play with that in your own body. Find out what is that? Where is that for you? Take another breath there. And then we're going to move it into a twist. So tee the right arm out. If you'd like a gentler twist, bend the left knee before you turn. Otherwise, lift the right hip, roll onto the left side body, push your right heel into an imaginary wall to the side of you, push your left foot into an imaginary wall down at the bottom of the mat, and then imagine your right hand on the top of your thigh, pushing the right thigh forward towards the foot side of the mat. You can turn the head to the right or not, and come on back up to center, friends. Release the strap, keep the leg up in the air, bring the arms by the side, and y'all know this one well if you work with me regularly. It's a leg lower. So you can point and flex the foot, and you're going to lower that down on about an 8 count to the ground, hopefully stabilizing pelvic floor, low belly, or the corset area, right? The upper abdomen. And then soften for a moment when you get there and just pause and notice what you notice. We're going to put both feet on the ground to start the sequence, please. Bring that left leg in, interlace behind the left thigh. And again, I'm just going to rock in and out. Don't go too fast with that. And just starting to slowly wake up, I'll call it the hip and the low back area. And the next time you hold it in, stay in, take your left big toe and draw circles in the air, opening up the ankle joint. And go the other way. And then still the foot, grab the strap, put the strap around the ball mounds of the left foot if you can, or interlace behind the thigh, and push the heel up. And again, keep the right foot on the ground for just a little bit longer if you don't mind. Put both straps into the right hand and take your left hand on the front of your left thigh and try to push right at the hip joint and try to push with the heel of the hand, that left thigh forward, right? Try to keep and turn on all the support muscles, I should say, of the pelvic floor, the low belly, all the things, right? To try to keep that. And then reach the arm back up, both hands in the left, both straps in the left hand. Go ahead and extend that right leg all the way out and working both feet, both legs in their respective directions. Tee the right arm out. And again, imagine your hand was still on that thigh, pushing that thigh forward. Try not to let anything else change except for the left femur bone as you reach the left leg over to the left. And then whenever you get to that point where everything wants to shift or change, or just one thing wants to shift or change, maybe pause and just notice what you have going on. Restabilize if necessary, right? Or playing with that, this idea of this alignment today. Again, I could teach it differently depending on the day. Bring that back up, put both straps in the right hand, make an L shape with the left hand, push that thigh, that left thigh forward and down, hold it, and then move it over to the right a little bit. And again, if you feel like you need more, play with it, but I find that rather than going all the way over to the right, and other people that I work with tell me this is true as well for them, right? Pull it back towards the head side of the mat a little bit. So the thigh moves forward, the femur, and the toes pull back. Take another breath. Again, feel free to bend that bottom knee for this twist. Otherwise, tee the left arm out, roll onto the right side body, letting the left hip lift. And when you get there, right, move both of your heels into imaginary walls, unless you have a bent right leg, of course. Maybe look to the left and imagine a thigh, a hand on that left thigh, pushing the left thigh forward, not down towards the ground or anything like that, just straight forward towards that foot side of the mat, that direction. And bring that back up to center. Release the strap, re-extend the left leg up, arms by the side, and then you're going to point and flex and lower that down at about an 8 count. Trying to maintain stability through every part of the body. The main movement is happening right at the hip joint. The femur is doing the moving, right? And soften and pause. Okay, go ahead and bring those legs in and rock yourself up. We're going to come to hands and knees, and I'm going to suggest that you use padding underneath your knees if you have it. We're going to do a quad stretch from a lunge with the knee down, and it can be tender for knees, even if your knees aren't usually tender, right? So why not give them the grace of padding? So come to hands and knees. Cat, cows, please. Nothing too fancy, nothing brand new. Just start to move the spine in these two directions. And come on back to center. And as I like to often do, wag your tail to the right, look over your right shoulder, and then wag your tail to the left, look over your left shoulder, and move the spine in and out of these two motions a few times just to get the lateral extension going on in our spines. Come on back to center. We're going to take that right hand past the left inner wrist. Reach, 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 reach. And go ahead and set down your head, maybe the right side of the head, maybe the right shoulder. My right shoulder usually doesn't make it quite all the way there. That left arm can go forward like a downward dog. We're not going to be here for long, but soften the neck and the shoulder and take a breath in the twist. Left hand under left shoulder, push the earth away. Come up. Left hand reaches past right inner wrist. Reach, 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 reach. Set yourself down, maybe right arm like a downward dog. And again, once you get in, just soften and breathe. Right hand under right shoulder, come on up, downward facing dog. So, walk the hands a little in front of you, a little in front of the shoulders, I should say. And if you want to move in any capacity with this first downward dog, go ahead and take that. Since we're talking about runners stretching, I love to really slowly pedal my feet, bending one knee and straightening another, and just really pushing, right? As that heel pushes down, for me, that's a complete connection into my calf. So you might do that. You might bend the knees a little bit and sway the hips from side to side and wake up that side body, or kind of maybe I even feel mine up by my lats today, right? Come back to center, bring the knees down. Let's bring blocks in if you've got them. If not, you'll be able to do all of this work without them. It just makes it a little more pleasant, I think. Step your right foot forward. And like we often do, we're going to inhale the chest forward and move the hips forward. And then exhale, move the hips back and flex that right foot, any amount. And do that. We're going to do it 3 times total, just to begin to wake up some of those big leg muscles that come into and through the hips, right? And then stay forward. Now for this one, we're going to try to see if we can reach back and grab onto that left ankle. That's one place you could use a strap if that's not available. First of all, try to curl your left toes under and try to move your left knee back and drop the hips lower so you're on the flesh above the kneecap. It's much, much nicer that way. Then bend the left knee as much as you can and see if your right hand can grab back for that, right? If you're like, no, put a strap around it and use a bridge, right? So a couple of things. One, the heel coming towards the buttocks. Yeah, I think more about reaching my left knee back to the foot side of the mat, my left frontal hip point coming up and forward towards the head side, right? And then, the heel coming towards the buttocks is secondary. I might add a little twist in, since it is a twist after all, and turn and look over that right shoulder. I might not. Release that down, and you're going to go back with the hips, and we're going to do our hamstring stretch, right? I like moving my heel a little forward so that my left hip stays stacked over my left knee personally, and then flex the foot. I don't think it's trying to get down to the shin. I think if we ask our buttocks bones to reach up and back, that's where it all really starts, right? And maybe I do get closer to my leg, but it's not about getting close to the leg. It's about lengthening the hamstring. And I'm going to get particular because that's what I do. The attachment point of the muscles is the ischial tuberosity. If I let it pull down towards my heel, I'm not really stretching the hamstring nearly as much as I could. If I reach it back away from me, right, if I move my pelvis, it moves and lengthens the hamstrings. And then I breathe because holy cow, right? And then we're just going to switch the legs out. So you can just step that right foot back, step the left foot forward, and let's move on the breath a couple of times, moving the hips forward. Inhale. And exhale, coming back, maybe flexing that left foot, maybe not. Inhale forward. and exhale back. This time when you come forward, stay forward. We're going to try that twist on the other side. Again, I suggest A, padding. B, curl your right toes under and try to move the knee further back and let the hips drop down so you're on the flesh above the kneecap. So much more comfortable. Not that this is comfortable. Bend the right knee, either just that. My quad is really tight on this side. Maybe I use the strap. Maybe I reach back with my left hand, right? And breathe. I think having the right hand on a block is really helpful here. So you're not so far down and it's not such a far reach, right? So try to move your right frontal hip point and your right knee away from each other. Think about that. Maybe heel comes closer, maybe not. And then, you've got that twist in there if that's feeling all right in your body. Rolling the ribs to the left, looking over the left shoulder, taking a breath because this is big stuff, right? Reach that shin back down. And then I'm going to move my blocks back. I'm going to straighten my left leg and let my hips, my right hip anyway, stack over my right knee. And keeping that left foot flexed, again, don't just drop down lower. Think about your buttocks bones, your ischial tuberosities moving back and up, like if they could go up to where the wall and the ceiling meet, right? And already I'm deeply in my hamstring. So maybe you fold a little further in, but I do not need to today, right? And breathe in. Could I? Yeah, I could. I could really push into that. Do I find that useful? After 24 years of working in this body with these methods, no, I don't actually. And I haven't worked with many privates where I find that to be true either, by the way. And then go ahead and step that left leg back. Now, since you have the blanket there, we're going to utilize the blanket for gate pose, right? And come up above a little bit the hip joints. So I have that block, the blanket down. I have my knees on it and I'm kneeling. A lot of knee stuff today. This is not for sensitive knee friends, right? I have the right foot out. I can either turn my toes straight forward or out to the side. I get to choose. And then I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to sweep that left arm up, right? And I'm going to just have that right hand on the thigh and I'm going to reach over and lean in to my lateral stretch. So, don't be pulling the shoulder out of the socket. Think of it more the stretch, trying to come out of the side waist, I'll say. I am really stumbling with my language today. I apologize. And breathing. Now let's add some strength because, strength is always good. And we were working with this stuff last week. So I'm going to put a block under my left hand. I'm going to flex my right foot. And I have the option of hand on hip, reaching the right arm up, or I can go into the full extension here. This is going to be a leg lift, right? So don't worry about the position of the arm as much as lift that right foot up just a little bit. Don't go really high. We're not going for height. We're trying to have the heel in line with the knee, in line with the buttocks bone, in line with the shoulder. Yeah, you get where I'm going? And then hopefully you're breathing. So it's side plank, a version of side plank. And breathe. And then go ahead and shoo, try to come up all in one fell swoop. Go ahead and have that right, left leg reach out. Toes can be forward. They can turn out. You get to choose, right? And then I'm going to bring the left hand on the thigh. I'm going to reach the right arm up. And again, instead of thinking of lifting out of my shoulder and higher, I'm going to think of lengthening out of my side waist to come into gate pose today. So trying to get into some of those muscles through the side waist. And take another breath. And then I'm going to lean over. Again, I prefer a block because I'm a short-armed girl. Whatever floats your boat is just great. Set it up. Flex the left foot. Push the left heel into an imaginary wall, right? Really root down through what you have on the ground. Find the position of your left arm, whatever you want to work with today. You can always change it once you're in. Then lift the left foot just enough till you try to feel. You don't have to look at it. Try to feel your heel in line with your buttocks bone, in line with your shoulder. So I'm trying to have a really neutral line here, even as I bear the weight of that leg. And then sweep and come all the way up and over. Okay, so I want to do one more thing in that vein, and then we're actually going to come down onto our backs. Give me a second. I had a plan, but now I forgot why I was bringing us in again. So we're going to, I know, have that right foot come out. That's what it is. We're going to try and go into the lats. Just a little extra credit. Not meaning you're a good person if you know how to do this. It's not necessarily for runners, but I love this stretch. So toes can turn all the way out or forward. You're going to go ahead and you're actually going to reach the left hand forward and then reach the right hand forward. So the left hand's just there for support. The right hand is the lengthening hand, right? So as I reach that right hand down away from me, I'm going to push down and I'm even going to pull back towards me a little bit, right? So there's traction. And then I'm going to move that right hip. That's the one that I'm standing on. I'm going to move that right hip back, back to the wall behind me until I feel a stretch somewhere in my right side body. I feel it in my armpit, it's true, but trying to get into the latissimus dorsi area, which is kind of around the back side of the rib cage. Come all the way up. Switch out your legs. Again, you don't have to be real particular with the foot position for this one. You're gonna go ahead and you're just gonna come down, put that right hand down so it supports your weight. Reach the left arm as far forward as you can, and then push the palm down into the ground, get it caught on the ground. It's a sticky, right? Sticky situation. Pull back and then move your left hip back away in opposition from the hand, and then breathe in whatever you have going on that left side. Okay, go ahead and come on up. Let's move that blanket. Come on down onto your back, and you can just roll down. Just a couple more things here, friends. So go ahead and put your right ankle on your left knee, flex the foot. You can work from here, left foot on the ground, or bringing it in and interlacing. My request is try to find a longer spine if you can. It's the same idea as what we did with the hamstring stretch, right? If my ischial tuberosities are moving up to the sky, I'm not lengthening my glutes as much as I could. Maybe I'm like, oh my God, I don't need any more length, then don't do this. Otherwise, think about your sits bones, your buttocks bones, your ischial tuberosities. They have a lot of names, right? Let them reach forward to the front of the mat. Try to pick your low back up off the earth a little bit. If you cannot, grabbing the foot, you might put the foot down to play with this stuff, right? Take a breath. Move the legs over to the left just a little bit, little or a lot. You know, you can determine centimeter, a couple of inches, but no more than a couple inches. And just see if it shifts the stretch in the right buttocks / hip. Come back to center. Keep the right foot where it is. Bring the left foot down to the left edge of the mat. Tee the arms out and let the legs swoosh over to the right. So it's a version of windshield wiper. You can bring the foot down if it does not feel good on the leg. You can turn the head to the left. Please soften wherever you're working from. Bring the right foot down, knees up, walk the feet into hip distance, left ankle, right knee. And go ahead and bring that in if you want to. You could stay on the ground. But again, you know, we all round to get this, and that's not wrong. That's not bad. But what I'm asking you, what I'm trying to make you aware of, I guess, more than anything, is that if the buttocks bones reach forward, if I move my spine into a more neutral position, I'm literally lengthening the buttocks bone by manipulating the bones that things are attached to. Yeah? So breathe wherever you're working from. Maybe the legs move a centimeter, an inch over to the right, whatever that is for you. Take a breath there. And then come on back to center, right foot to the right edge of the mat, arms teed out, legs to the left foot's welcome to come down if it wants to, head can turn to the right if it wants to, and you know, breathe and stuff. And then bring that left foot down, bring the knees up with the feet wide, like how we started class. Lean the knees in, arms in Shavasana. And I want to end class how we started it, because I would love for you to tune in again to your back body and its relationship to the floor. So if there were areas that felt heavier, right side, right hip heavier, left hip lighter, like that kind of stuff, just notice if that is still the case, if anything has shifted or changed. No judgment, just noticing. If you can stay here for a couple of minutes, even if you want to extend the legs out, I encourage you to. We're actually just going to say namaste from our backs. So if you want to, you can bring the hands together in front of the chest, take an inhale, and, you know, still take a moment and find one thing to be grateful for. Namaste, friends.